Okay, a few years have asked me just to do some. No, a lot of you have just asked me about different division, long division. Just a couple of people have asked it again and again recently. Honors, ordinary, junior cert, leaving cert. So I'm just going to go through a few of them. I'll probably go through. I'm thinking I'm going to go through one and explain everything I'm doing, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take down a few. And what I want you to try do, just if you want the practice, you don't obviously have to. I'm not your boss. I'm not there. But what might be a good idea is if you pause the video on after the first one, when I give you the second one, let's say, and then try it yourself, just practice and see if you can figure it out, see how far you can get, see what you can do, and then play it and then watch me do it and just see if you got close, just kind of like try it yourself, see if you get anywhere close, see if you can see what the mistakes are that you're making based on what I'm doing. Um, but and then in the second part of this video, I don't know how long this video is going to be. I didn't plan it out all too well, but basically, I also have some junior cert questions and I have some leaving cert questions where it will show up so that you can kind of have an idea of what it would look like in an exam. Because as you all probably know at this point, the exam questions do look different to the book questions. So I'll hit you with a few of the normal ones. We'll say first. Um, let's say, and they write it like this. I don't know if this is hugely necessary, but they might say x squared plus 3x plus 2 divided by x plus 2. Now, the bit you're dividing by goes on the outside, the bit you're dividing into goes on the inside. And the process that you follow is always the first thing divides into the first thing how many times. Some people like to take it as an outside, take it aside and do it as rough work. So it's always the first thing on the left part and the first thing in the bit that's in the bit that's being divided by. Take it outside. You don't have to do this, but it just helps a lot of people. X squared over x, and if you still don't really like that, you can also change x squared into x. The little power just tells you how many x's to write, and then you'll notice that this one would go away with this one, and you're just left with x. So one of your answers is x, and whatever you get from doing the first bit divided by the first bit goes on the top. I'm gonna keep all the. I know people don't like this. I know. I get you. I'm gonna keep all my x squareds, x's, and numbers in a single column, in a single line, in the same way that you would have done in primary school, where you would have done tens, hundreds, tens, units, that type of stuff. I just like it that way. I think it's neater. It just kind of ties all together. So first thing into first thing. So x squared divided by x. I did it over here. I found out it was x. I put that on the top. That's your first step. Then anything you put on the top, you have to multiply by both of these. Anything on the left side here, because there's two, it's both of them. But if it had been three parts, which will happen sometimes, you'd have to multiply by all three. So I'd say x by x is x squared. X by 2 is plus 2x. And then you draw a line and change the signs, right? So that was a plus, and now it's a minus. And the reason why we did that is so that the x squareds cancel. 3x take away 2x is just 1x, but I will write it as x, and so will a lot of the maths people anyway. So you probably want to get used to. If you want to write it as 1x, be my guest, but just know that the examiners won't. You bring down the plus 2 so that there's enough bits to do division by, and again you repeat the process. You do first thing divided by first thing. Again, take it out to the side if you need to, but it would be x over x. But that just equals to 1 because they both cancel out. Anything divided by itself is just 1. So I'm going to put a plus 1 on the top here. Anything you put on the top here, you multiply down by these two guys though. So 1 by x is x, 1 by 2 is 2. And then you draw the line and change the sign. It's the same process again and again until you just get to the end. And you'll notice here this cancels, but also this cancels. Hooray. And that's 0. So the bit in red at the top, the x plus 1, is your official answer. That's how it's done. It was kind of a quick one compared to some of the ones you're going to see. Sometimes there might be more parts in the middle. Sometimes there might be more parts on the left. Sometimes there are parts that are missing, and we'll have to amend for that, but I'm going to try one of those later on. Yeah, it feels like I've done what the normal thing to do for teachers is to do, where you do out one of them. You do it the easy one. I know that. I get you. I'll try to pick a harder one, and then... No, I won't for now. I'm going to write this. Now, I want you, if you can, right? I know you don't want to, but if you can, just try pausing it, giving it a shot, giving it your best attempt at it, and just see if you can do it, if you can't do it. All right, so just give it a pause, give it a shot. I'm just going to launch into it now. So if you want to pause it, your time is gone, I guess. You know, you're a youth. You'll know how to do it. Let me just make sure I took it down right. Yep. Okay, so I don't know if you paused it and gave it a shot, but here we go. Yeah, we always set it up like this again. And then you do first into the first. So that would be 6x squared divided by 3x. Because it's the first part here divided by the first part here. Then, now, people won't maybe like this. But you can rewrite this x squared as x by x if you want. Then, this would cancel with this. Now, what's 6 divided by 3? You will have to also do that. It's not just the letters, it's also the numbers. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then there's a single x left behind, so we get left with 2x. 6x squared over 3x is just 2x. Hopefully you can all see that. I don't know to what degree I need to go into like bits and pieces like that, but if you have a problem, get in contact with me or someone else. You know, someone will help you, I'm sure. But anything you put on the top, you have to multiply down here. So 2x by 3x is 6x squared. 2x by minus 2 is minus 4x. Hopefully you know what I'm doing, because I don't want to have to write it out every time that this is what I'm doing, because I'll have to go down here and take it away. Maybe I should. I don't know. I'm just being lazy. Draw a line. Change the sign. These will cancel. These won't. 11 and 4 is 15x. And then we bring down the minus 10 just so that the guy's not lonely. But then you start the whole process again. Whole thing again. It's kind of like all of this is gone now, and it's going to be this guy divided by this guy now. And we do the first thing divided by the first again. So I would take it to the side. I do 15x over 3x. The x's will cancel, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. So hopefully you all see that. Those will cancel, and then you just do the numbers like normal. So you put up plus 5 over here. And then anything you put on the top has to be multiplied down by the two guys over here. So 5 by 3x is 15x. I'm going to try to make it a bit more obvious what I'm doing. 5 by minus 2 is minus 10. And then you draw the line and change the signs. And then they cancel there and there. And you're left with 0. Now, in 99% of the cases, in 100% of the cases in junior cert, and at least ordinary level leaving cert that I've seen, the answer at the bottom should be 0. If you don't get 0, it's not the end of the world. Don't freak out. You've done a lot of good work to get to an answer at all. There was one time in leaving cert honors level though where it didn't have 0 at the bottom, it had another number. I will address that for the leaving cert honors students at the very, kind of not at the very end, but it's one of the later ones I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm just going to play through a few more of these. Hopefully you can again just try it yourself, and hopefully it goes well. I'm not really sure how this is going to do, to be honest with you, but we'll see. Again, this next one, you can pause it again and just give it a shot yourself, which I kind of encourage you to do, because I know you guys just don't like paying attention to things. I know what I mean by that is I know people kind of prefer to actively do stuff themselves rather than just watch someone else do it. So unless it was entertaining, but I understand this isn't entertaining to most people. Now again, so I'm going to give you a moment to pause it. If you want to give it a shot, and then unpause it and just see how you did. But assuming you've done that already, you always do first thing divided by the first thing. That's the starting off point. So x cubed divided by x, take it to the side if you want. You don't always have to write the bit in the red I'm doing on the right hand side here, but x cubed divided by x would be the same as x by x by x over x. They cancel. Now, here's a new one. Actually, I haven't run into this yet. If you want to then reconstruct the x's back into x, because there was 2 of them, it would be a little power of 2. I haven't run into that one yet. Hopefully that one's okay for you guys. Not really to do with the long division, more so just algebra. But hopefully you're okay with that. It's just kind of like undoing the same thing that I did here, but one of the x's has disappeared at this point, so I only have x to the power of 2 in this stage. X squared, I'm going to keep in line with my x squareds just because, like, something to do with autism, I guess. But then x squared by x would be x cubed. X squared by minus 4 is minus 4x squared. You draw a line, change the sign. You'll notice this one was slightly different in that there was an x cubed, which I've cancelled, by the way. But it just means that the thing is going to be slightly longer. Minus 7x squared plus 4x is minus 3x squared. We want to bring down the plus 7x, so he's not on his own again. Now, some people would bring down to plus 20 if you want to. It's okay. I know, though, from my wonderful experience of doing maths, is I only need as many things here as there are here. So because there's 1, 2, I only need 1, 2 parts. So that's why I'm not bringing down the plus 20. I feel like it just kind of clutters things up a bit. But each to their own. As long as you realize you're not really going to be using the plus 20 at this point because there's 2 parts here and there's 2 parts here. So we won't really be stretching past the 7x just yet. But again, it's like this bit is all forgotten about now and we start the process again. Now don't actually scribble it out, for the love of God. I've just realized someone might do that. But we start the whole process again of doing first guy divided by the first guy. Now minus 3x squared over x. Hopefully you all recognize the minus 3x squared. You can change that into minus 3xx over x. One of the x's will cancel out and you're left with just minus 3x, which is fine, hopefully. Ooh, excuse me, you put that on the top. But anything you put on the top now has to be multiplied by these two guys. So minus 3x by x is minus 3x squared. Minus 3x by minus 4 is plus 12x. God, I hope I don't make a mistake, actually. Good lord. Draw a line, change the signs. Again, you always kind of want that to happen in a way that the first guy will cancel. 7x minus 12x is minus 5x. Now, that's on his own, so now I'm going to bring down to plus 20. And the reason why I'm doing it now is because now there are 2 parts, which is what I always wanted. Hooray. Again, now it's like this is all gone. Now this one is slightly different again because there's an extra. Before there was like 2 steps, as in like literally like the stairs, if you get me, that I'm kind of formatting here. But here there will be a 3rd layer to it because just because there was an extra pair of 3, so the question was slightly longer. So what I have to do is I have to take this guy and divide it by x now as a side, and you notice there'll just be a 3rd. It's the exact same process, just an extra bit to it. Like an extra, like instead of 1, 2 done, it's 1, 2, 3. Minus 5x divided by x is just minus 5. So you can slap him in up here. Again, I'm keeping all my numbers in similar fashion, similar row, similar column, sorry. Then minus 5 times x is minus 5x. I think you guys can see the cursor actually. I don't know if I've set it up that I can't do that, it isn't visible. I don't think I have. Minus 5 by minus 4 is plus 20, but then we draw a line and change the signs and then they will all cancel, and again, hey presto, you're left with 0. Happy days. I was hoping to find another type of question, but I don't see it for now. I'm going to do one that's kind of considered quite tricky by some people, but it's the idea that you're doing division well, yeah, I won't do, I'll do this one now. So the question says, I'm going to write out the question because I want you to see how it's written. It's written like this, and it's saying divide that by, I've lost it, x plus 2. Now the problem is, in case you haven't noticed, there's an x cubed, there's an x squared, but there's no x because it goes straight to the number then. It's like the x bit is missing. It's just not there. So what we have to do is, if the bit in the middle is missing, if you get me, like it would be fine if there's no x cubed, that's okay. But if the x squared or the x or the number, let's say, is even missing, well, if the number was missing, it would work out slightly different, so I wouldn't worry about it. But you have to insert that yourself. So I'll write it as I normally would have, but I'll show you in a different color pen the difference. That's too close together. In a different color pen, the difference you need to make. So we'd have x plus 2. Now you can give it a shot if you want, but let me at least set it up before you pause it. Now I'm going to do this over here because we need to keep in mind rainbow pen time. We need to insert a plus 0x in the middle, right? And that's what the rainbow's for, because you need to pay attention. What was it, blue? So that's how you would set this up. If a part is missing, put it in as plus 0x, right? It's okay for the first two that I didn't put in 0x cubed because there just was no need for it. It's only if there's a power of 3, there has to be a power of 2, there has to be 1 with no power, and there has to be nothing. If it was a power of 4, there has to be a 3, a 2. You know, it's descending. If one of them is missing afterwards, you have to put it in yourself. Sometimes 2 bits can be missing and you have to put in plus 0x squared plus 0x. Very rare that I've seen that, but it has happened. But then other than that, it's the same process, same protocol. So again, I'll give you a second to pause it at this point, and if you want to give it a shot, go for it yourself. And just to see, just to practice it. I'm curious to see how well this goes. I'm curious to see if people actually do so. But give it a shot. Otherwise, assuming now everyone else is, you're at a stage now where you're ready to see me do it. Yes, do the process exactly like you would normally though. First thing divided by the first thing, take it as an aside, and you say x cubed over x. X cubed would be x, 3 of them. And then one of them would disappear with the, I shouldn't do that actually, just in case it causes an issue. One of them would disappear, so we're left with this. And the reason is, this guy goes away with this guy, and you're left with 2 of them. And then again, reconstructing it like we said before. X squared, I'm going to keep all my things in the same column. Anything you put on the top though has to be multiplied down by x. X squared by x is x cubed. X squared by 2 is 2x squared. Draw a line, change the sign. First guy will always cancel, hopefully. X squared minus 2x squared is minus 1x squared, but again, I'm just going to write it as no number there. Keep that in mind though. If there's no number there, it's really a 1. I'm going to bring down to 0x because, you know, you have to. Again, all of this is gone. We're going to start the process again. First guy divided by the first guy. Minus x squared over x. That would be minus xx over x. One of those would cancel out, so we'd end up with minus x. Whatever we get here has to go on the top. Again, I'm keeping my x's in the same column. Whatever you put on the top, you multiply down over here. So minus x by x is minus x squared. Minus x by 2 is minus 2x. Hopefully you're all okay with that bit. I'm kind of focusing more so on the actual division part as opposed to anything else. Draw a line, change the sign, cancel them out. 0x and 2x is 2x. Yeah, we're kind of hoping that the other algebra bit, the adding and subtracting and the multiplying and all that, isn't holding you back, because this is really just to show you how to do long division. If there's an issue with something else, maybe address that bit first. Again, get in contact with me if you need to. But there's only one part here, so I'm going to bring down the minus 4 and start the whole protocol again. First guy divided by first guy. So we'd end up with 2x over x, but that is just 2. I'm going to throw them in here, and the reason why it's 2 is because the x's will cancel. I missed it. Anything you put on the top though, the plus 2 we added in, has to be multiplied by the x. So 2 by x is 2x, 2 by 2 is plus 4. What did I goof on? I goofed on something somewhere. Minus 1. So basically I'm saying that these, I should really just pause, shouldn't I? Hang on, let me see. Turns out I'm an idiot. You shouldn't be listening to anything I say. Shouldn't be asking me for help. I'm so stupid. I just took it down wrong. That was a plus 4 up here, and apparently I just forgot that it should have been a plus 4 this whole time. So I was actually right. Wow. But now hopefully that doesn't derail you too much. I paused it for a couple of seconds, but I forgot to you guys it's going to be like seamless, because you'll be damned if I'm editing. So draw a line, change the sign, everything was fine. I just took down the, hopefully you see that it was a plus 4. I took it down as a minus. So I knew it wasn't going to work, so I just went, oh, what's gone wrong? Found it and changed it to a plus, and then just carried on. I know that might be a bit jarring to some of you. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully you can see and forgive me. See what I did. I'm I was trying to do and what I did wrong and how I kind of fixed it and didn't really have to delve too deeply into it. Sorry about that if that did cause an issue. The other thing I wanted to talk about would be if, for example, we had to do this where there was a number on the x that you're dividing in with. Oh god, I hit the table, sorry. Sorry. That's just awful. I'm going to allow myself to live with that. 6x cubed plus 13x squared plus 9x plus 2. Everything is the exact same. You can try, you can pause this, give it a shot if you want to. I don't mind, up to you. But I'm going to go through it. So hopefully, if you gave it a shot, it did work out for you. I hope it worked out. So we're going to start now. So basically, you start the whole thing again. You just do first divided by first. The only difference is... oh, have I done one of these already? I have done, actually. I'll do this out anyway. But I have done one of these. I didn't realize that. Silly me. 6x cubed divided by 3x would be the same as 6 xxx over 3x, and that's going to be 2x squared, because one of the x's cancels out. The 6 divided by 3 is 2, and then if there's 2 x's left, we say x squared. So 2x squared. Hopefully you're okay with that. 2x squared. Anything you put on the top, though, has to be multiplied down here. So 2x squared by 3x is 6x cubed. 2x squared by 2, sorry, is 4x squared. You draw a line and change the sign. I like it because it rhymes. I forgot to cross it out. I'll cross it out in a minute. 13 minus 4 is 9. And you bring down this guy. Plus 9x. Start the whole protocol again. There, see, I told you. Start the whole thing again. First thing divided by first thing. So we're going to say 9x squared over 3x, which is 9xx over 3x. One of the x's will cancel. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and you're left with a single x. Again, hopefully you're okay with that. That's not really to do with the long division pattern. That's more so just dividing a fraction, and hopefully you're okay with that. If you're not, just figure that one out first. 3x by 3x would be 9x squared. 3x by 2 is 6x. Draw a line, change the sign. They cancel. 9x take away 6x is 3x, and we need 2 parts, so we're going to bring it down. If any of this is going too fast, you guys know yourself. You can just pause it, put it on slow-mo, whatever you need. If it's too slow, then, geez, fair play. But again, we're going to start the whole process again of doing first thing divided by the first thing. Now, you'll notice here, both of these things would cancel out because it's just 3x being divided by itself. Anytime you divide something by itself, the answer is 1. So I'm just going to put a plus 1. Anything you put on the top here, though, has to be multiplied across. Plus 1 by 3x is 3x. Plus 1 by 2 is plus 2. You draw a line and change the sign. Cancelled, and again 0. Now I know I said it's the remainder down here is all. Well, actually, did I? I can't remember. The number at the bottom is, as I said, mostly 0. It's because it's the remainder, and I know a lot of people don't remember this from primary school. But if you remember back to primary school when you just were learning how to do division, a big thing you used to do was 7 divided by 3. Doesn't go in evenly, but you said it would go in twice, and there would be a remainder of 1. Because 2 3s is 6, and there's 1 left over. That 1 is the remainder. This is just how we represent it in long division. And you see, it's always 0 for you guys because they're afraid to scare you by giving you one that has a remainder. Basically, they're literally afraid you're going to blow your little minds with that one. So they will generally give you ones that divide in evenly, so therefore there would be no remainder. Therefore, that's why the number at the bottom is always 0. Wouldn't stress too much about it for junior cert. Oh, for junior cert, God, don't even worry about it. But here is I think these are the 2 most recent junior cert questions I could find on the topic. Here it says, show that 2y plus, now you'll notice I just swapped the letter around. Bit of a dick move, but like there's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. Show that it is a factor of this. A factor is just a number that can divide in. So for example, the factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12, because each of those numbers can divide into 12 evenly without a remainder. 5, for example, is not a factor because 12 divided by 5 is 2, remainder 2. 4 is, because 12 divided by 4 would be 3, remainder 0. But now you wouldn't really write remainder 0. So if they say show that this is a factor, it looks horrendous, obviously, because they're not just numbers. There's letters in a big cubic, and I know God hates you. I understand. But it's basically just asking you to show that the remainder would be 0. So basically they're saying do long division and just show that there's a 0 at the end. That's all. So we're going to do it exactly the same like we've normally been doing it. I'm going to give you a second to give it a shot yourself. I keep hitting the goddamn table. I'm going to give you a second to try it yourself. And I kind of advise you that you should. I know maybe you have other subjects to do. Maybe this is the night before the exam and you've just realised you left it all a bit too late and you're crying and your man's shouting. I know. But give it a shot. Hopefully you're okay with it. Now I'm going to start it. So again, first thing divided by first thing. I'm going to kind of skip a few bits if that's okay, but this would be y squared. The 2's would cancel. Y cubed over y. If you wrote it out as y, which you're totally allowed to do on the top. Okay, do you know what? I skipped this step, alright, just for anyone curious. And then cancelled out one of the y's. Then the y squared, I'm going to keep it again in line. Anything you put on the top has to be multiplied down. Y squared by 2y is 2y cubed. Y squared by 3 is plus 3y squared. Draw a line, change the sign. Boom, 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 boom. I enjoy it, okay? I know you guys don't like it. Oh, that's just wrong. Never mind. I don't like it. I hate it. Minus 9y squared minus 3y squared is actually minus 12y squared. I just blanked on the minus. I do apologise. He's on his lonesome. That's sad. I'm going to bring down to 28y. And then start the whole thing again. The whole thing again. As soon as you bring something down, you start the whole process again. Maybe I should have said that earlier. Maybe that's going to be clearer for some people. Minus 12y squared divided by 2y, because it's first thing, divided by first thing. Again, that would be minus 6. You can do minus 12 over 2 on your calculator, as long as you recognize that's fine. You just have to remember to do the letter part yourself. Y squared over y is y. Again, it would turn into y over y if you want to do that step in the middle. Again, I just tried to skip it and then felt bad and had to write it back in eventually anyway. Whatever you get, you put in on the top. Anything you put on the top, multiplied over here, minus 6y by 2y. So plus by minus is minus, 6 by 2 is 12, y by y is y squared. Minus 6y by plus 3, plus by minus is a minus. 6 by 3 is 18, and then there's just a single y. Draw a line, change the signs, they cancel. Minus 28y plus 18y is minus 10y. Minus 15 is the thing we're going to bring down from here. I didn't mention that. Again, start the whole process again. As soon as you bring the guy down, you start the whole process again. Minus 10y over 2y is equal to minus 5. The y's would cancel. The minus 10 over 2. You could even do it in your calculator. In an exam, I would advise it for everybody. None of this like cowboy nonsense. So I'll be fine. Minus 5 by 2y is minus 10y. Minus 5 by plus 3 is minus 15. Draw a line, change the sign. Now, you'll notice the number we get at the bottom is 0, and that means the question is done. It said show that it is a factor of whatever, blah. And as we saw, that just means show that the remainder is 0. We did that. Congratulations. Pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a cookie. It's fine. You'll live. It'll be okay. Just do the junior cert. You'll be okay. This one is also a junior cert question. It's slightly older, though. It's from before COVID. So you notice this one isn't as pleasant as they just like gave you two things to divide and said do it. Before we get started, I will remind you, to find the area of a rectangle, you do length multiplied by width. So in order to get the area, they must have multiplied this guy by this guy. But instead of giving you two guys to multiply together to get the area, they gave you the end result and one of the starting guys. And they're asking you what was the other starting guy that they had in order to get that area. So we have to do it in reverse. We have to do the multiplication backwards, and multiplication backwards, for those of you who don't know, is division. So this was a weird question where I didn't read the words out. A rectangle has sides of length x minus 3. That might be jarring to people, but it's just like, we know the length. We're not telling you, ooh, it's x minus 3. And ax squared plus bx plus c. Again, that's very scary to some people because there's 4 different letters in that. They're just not telling us because they're dicks. The area of the rectangle is blah. Square units, I don't care. Find the value of a, b, and c. I thought you'd never ask. The idea is, though, they multiplied these guys together to get the area. So in reverse, I'm going to write this out. This is the way I see it. I don't know if you guys are going to like it. So they did x minus 3, and they multiplied it by ax squared. This is what they must have done. They must have done length multiplied by width. And they must have gotten 2x cubed minus 13x squared plus 25x minus 12. They must have done that. So what we're going to actually do is we're going to divide both sides by x minus 3. The reason is, you'll notice over here, this cancels with this. And what we'd have left is that the quadratic we're looking for is equal to this guy divided by x minus 3. So we know now, in order to get the answer, we just have to do the area divided by the side that we, well, I'm going to say that we know, but obviously we don't know it, but as in it's better than the one with the a, b, and c in it. If you don't fully understand that, I guess just learn that if a question like this comes up, it is long division, right? If it's the opposite, if they said we multiplied two things and we want to go backwards in time, and we can't get access to a time machine, you just do division. 2x cubed minus 13x squared plus 25x minus 12. It was just, I kind of had to do this because of how alarming it was that a lot of people just can't do this. I'm blaming COVID, but I'm afraid to do that because I know you guys are all lazy and will be like, yeah, that's what I'll say for everything. But I've done this in green pen and it's upset me slightly because I was doing this all in blue pen before, but we live and we learn. Hopefully. We're going to do the first thing divided by the first thing. That's not the first thing, Graham. First thing divided by the first thing, which is this. Again, you can pause it at this point and give it a shot if you want to. I should have said that earlier. My bad. I just like maths. 2x cubed divided by x is going to be 2x squared. Put that on top. I'm going to keep them in order. You don't have to do that, though, if you don't want to. You can be weird. That's fine. 2x squared by x is 2x cubed. 2x squared by minus 3 is minus 6x squared. Draw a line, change the sign. Yes, it's in the wrong opposite colors. I know that. You don't think that's scratching my brain? That's going to be minus 7x squared because it's minus 13 plus 6. You can do that in a calculator, and because they both have an x squared, the answer will also be an x squared. Going to bring down the plus 25x. And we're going to start the whole process again. We're going to do, and this is the last junior cert one I think I'm going to do. The rest are all leaving cert ones, so junior cert people can drop after this. Minus 7x squared over x. If you're still here, God, if I was talking to nobody, Jesus. Minus 7x. Put that on top. Anything you put on the top, almost picked blue because, oh God. Minus 7x by x is minus 7x squared. Minus 7x by minus 3 is plus 21x. Draw a line, change the signs. Cancel them, guys. 25x minus 21 is 4x. Bring down the minus 12. As soon as you bring stuff down, you start it again. You do 4x divided by x. That would just be 4. You put the plus 4 on the top. 4 gets multiplied by the x minus 3. 4 by x is 4x. 4 by minus 3 is minus 12. You would draw the line, and when you would change the signs, they would cancel, and you get left with a big fat 0. Your answer is this guy. Don't forget, the answer is actually the guy on the top. That is a crap arrow, but look. You can't do long division. I'm going to do a new arrow. I apologize about the long division comment. You'll be fine. My God, is this bad again? What the hell? So, that's the answer, right? Now, if they were being particularly cruel, they would want you to actually write A is equal to 2, B is equal to minus 7. Keep that in mind, that that's the minus 7 is what's in front of the X. And they said B is the guy in front of the X. I know they have a plus on the B, but that doesn't mean anything. Don't worry about it. C is equal to the 4. And that's that question done. The other side must have been this red bit that I have the crap arrow pointing at. Don't insult my arrows. I'll talk to you later. Junior cert people, you guys can bounce. Because, good Lord, look what we're about to do. So, yeah, that's junior cert people. And I think leaving cert ordinary people are okay at this point as well. You guys can bounce too. The next 3 questions are just going to be for honors leaving cert. If you are anyone else, you don't belong here. I found that amusing. Okay, now the problem with the Leaving Cert honors is obviously they start throwing in letters and nonsense. Um, will I do this one first? I'll do the remainder one first. I just think it's kind of neater. Yeah, I'll do these ones first because they're quicker. Um, the remainder. Okay, find the remainder when 3x squared plus 2x plus 5 is divided by x plus 1. This is the one I was telling you about earlier, where it was the only question I've ever seen in the Leaving Cert or the Junior Cert where you had to do long division and you got a remainder. So that just means at the very bottom of our thing, we're going to have our long division, we're going to have a line, we're going to have a line, we're going to have a line, and normally at the bottom we have a 0. But now we're going to have a number, and they're basically saying, what is that number if it's not 0? And that's what they're asking when they say find the remainder, right? That is, find the value of c when 3x squared plus 2x plus 5 is written in the form. Now this, I think, threw a lot of people, these bits. It's weirdly something that I will explain at the end. But so once I have something to kind of reference, if you get me. It's still bad, but okay. So again, now like with the other questions, I'm going to actually give you a second to try this on your own. Just make sure you can actually do as much of the long division as you possibly can on your own. If you don't want to, I don't know. You know. So we always do first thing divided by the first thing. So 3x squared divided by x. And that would be just 3x. You put the 3x on the top. You'd say 3x gets multiplied down by the x. You'd say 3x squared. And then 3x by 1 is 3x. Draw a line, change the signs. And you get cancelled. This ends up at minus x. Bring this down. That's a plus 5. Then we start the whole process again. We say minus x divided by x. And that's going to be minus 1. Put that on the top. Now you'll notice at this point we actually know the answer should be 3x minus 1. We won't worry about it just yet. Minus 1 gets multiplied by the x, it's minus x. Minus 1 gets multiplied by the plus 1, it is minus 1. Draw a line, change the signs, they cancel. Now you'll notice what's 5 plus 1, it is 6. Whew, that is the remainder. That's what is there instead of the 0, therefore that is what the remainder is, and that is what the c is in what they were asking for. Now they weirdly didn't specify that they wanted a and b, like they literally said just find the value of c, but we've actually also found the values of a and b. The value of a is 3, the value of b is minus 1. So all that, just to kind of highlight, remember they kind of said some gibberish. Basically what we know then is 3x squared plus 2x plus 5 is the same as the x plus 1 multiplied by 3x minus 1. I forgot the x, my apologies. Plus 6. That is what we're saying. That's what they've kind of said here, but they said it in a way that, like, you know, us maths people would talk to each other and feel high and mighty about it, right? Just to highlight to you, if you multiplied out these two guys, you'd get x by 3x is 3x squared. X by minus 1 is minus x. 1 by 3x is 3x. 1 by minus 1 is minus 1. Now the plus 6, I'll write it over here in a different color because he is still chilling around, but I just want you to see that without him we wouldn't have gotten the right answer. We'd end up with 3x squared. We'd add the two x's together and get plus 2x. We'd end up with a minus 1. You'll notice though that 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 isn't this guy. That's what the plus 6 is necessary for, because what's minus 1 plus 6 make? The 5 that they were requesting. So the remainder is necessary in order to go back to exactly what they did. They didn't do an even factor. It doesn't divide in evenly. They're bastards. I know. I agree with you. Yeah, again, that was the only time I've ever seen that come up, but it's doable. I don't think it's too scary. It's just such a weird foreign concept to people. They just didn't like it. Here is the factor theorem questions. I think I did some video on this before, but I'm just going to fly through this again. X plus 4 is a factor of this. Oh goody, we know that divides in with a remainder of 0. They gave away the secrets. The problem is with this one, they literally put a letter in the middle and said Q is here. Now they said show that Q is equal to minus 5. Try not to just use that fact in your question. Do not immediately start with, well, therefore, we know that because Q is 5, this is this. They kind of put that in so that if you can't figure out that Q is minus 5, you can do it with the next question. Do the next question with it. If you can't figure out how to do it, then you can use it to try to do it, get some marks. Like, I'm trying to say, don't use the q equals minus 5 unless you have to. If you can't prove that q equals minus 5 yourself, then use the fact that q is equal to minus 5 to prove that it's all okay, and then do the rest of the question. Hopefully I haven't mucked up the English there too much. I feel like I did. But the whole thing I'm trying to say is, well, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we're going to find out that q is minus 5. But the reason why and that is what the question asks, it says show that is true. But the reason why they say q is equal to minus 5 instead of just find q, they want you to be able to proceed and then do this bit regardless of whether you're able to do the first part. All I'll remind you is, if that's a factor, we can put it equal to 0. And that means that x equals minus 4 is a root. And if it's a root, we can sub it in everywhere there's an x, and it should be a 0. So, for example, I'd say f of minus 4 is equal to minus 4 cubed plus q times minus 4 squared. I know the q is scary. I don't want it there, Graham. Okay. And you see how far that got. That's going to be minus 64. That's going to be plus 16q. That is going to be plus 88. And that is going to be plus 56. Now, because it's a root, as we said, if it's a root, when you sub it in, your answer should be 0. So we can put an equals 0 at the end there, because that should be true. Minus 64 plus 88 is 24, and then add on to 56. We get 70. No, we get 80. Is that right? 80. Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. 16q plus 80 is equal to 0. 16q is equal to minus 80. Divide both sides by 16, we get q is equal to minus 5. Hey presto, that's cool. So now we can get rid of this q and put in minus 5 instead. And now we can do the and part, where it says and find the 3 roots of fx. You'll notice I've already found one. That's nice. But there are 2 more. And the only way we can really get it is, there is a formula for doing the cubic theorem. There's a minus b formula for x to the power of 3, but it is way too long. So instead what we do is we divide the first factor that we know into the cubic, which we now also know as a minus 5x squared instead of a qx squared. A few people put in the q when they did this question, and it just caused issues. But don't forget, you've solved the q, or they told you what the q is, so there's no point maintaining it as a q. We know what it is. First thing divided into the first thing, x cubed divided by x is x squared. Put that on top, multiply that down. X cubed plus 4x squared. Draw a line, change the signs. Whoops. That's going to be minus 9x squared. Bring down the minus 22x. Start the process again. You'd say minus 9x squared divided by x is equal to minus 9x. That's minus 9x up here. Multiply that down here. That's going to be minus 9x squared. That's going to be minus 36x. What could I do? Draw a line, change the signs. I missed it. That cancels. This would be 14x. Then you bring down the 56. 14x divided by x is 14. Put the plus 14 up here. Multiply that down. 14 by x is 14x. 14 by 4 is 56. Wowzers. Do this. Get rid of him and get rid of him. Wow, you get 0. So you notice we did all that. We got a quadratic. And then if you remember, for the rest of the factor theorem, what you have to do is you have to do x squared minus 9x plus 14 as either brackets or the minus b. I am going to do the brackets because I am quicker at doing the brackets than you are. Do not do the brackets, do the minus b. Us old people had to learn how to do, oh look, I did it. Us old people had to learn how to do the brackets because our calculator's going to do the minus b. For the love of God, do the minus b. I do not understand why you won't do the minus b formula. Sub into the minus b formula, do it on the calculator. Blech. Oh, I don't like typing it in. It's your leaving cert. Good lord. Sick of yous. But yeah, there's the answers, right? Find the 3 roots. X equals minus 4 is one of them. X equals 2. X equals 7. Those are the three roots. Those are the three numbers that we can sub into the x and get a 0 as an answer. Those are the three numbers where that, if I was to put it in a graphing app, that function, the cubic, would cross over the x-axis at those three numbers. As I've bitched and complained to you, I'm sure, in person, back in my day, they didn't give us the first one. We had to figure one out ourselves. And if you're ever in that scenario, if they don't mention about the x plus 4, if they just give you the cubic and they're like, do this, you have to guess the first one. And the way you guess it is just keep subbing numbers in for x until you get it equal to 0. And the hint that I'll give you is it always has to be a factor of the last number. So the 56 here, the factors of 56, though, they are just too many. It's like 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 14, 28, and 56. I don't know, I missed one. Because you'd have to do all of those and their minus versions as well. So if they were to do that, they wouldn't give you a 56 at the end. They might give you an 8 where you'd have to do 1, 2, 4, 8 and maybe their minuses. Just try it until one of them works. Then when you figure that one out, do that long. Oh yeah, so let's say you figure out that like, the answer is, 8, right? Then you know x equals 8 as a root. In the same way we change this factor into a root, you'd also do this in reverse and you get x minus 8 equals 0. So we start off with a root in that scenario, turn it into a factor, and then do the long division with him. Like he becomes this guy. So you divide him into the cubic, find a quadratic, and then do minus b to get the other two. If they wanted these in factor form, if they disgustingly said that, you just basically make it so that they're both equal to 0. That's all. They didn't here, that's why it's in red. Anything that's in red isn't actually necessary for this question. I just wanted to highlight some stuff. Now I'm going to give this one a shot. Now this is the worst one. People hate this one because it has letters in it. Be prepared. This guy is a factor of this guy. It's still just long division. You'll be fine. I've seen people come out the other side of leaving cert. It does happen. We do this. Now you'll notice there's no x squared term, so I'm going to put that in myself. That wasn't just something I said for the junior cycle people. That is what we do. There should be no junior cycle people still here, by the way. If you're still here, it's past your bedtime. Get out. I mean it, like, genuinely. You shouldn't have watched any of this stuff. You're probably going to have your little brain frazzled. We're going to do first thing divided by first thing. X cubed divided by x squared. That would just be x. You put that on the top over here. X by x squared. You'll notice there's 3 parts here, so it's just going to be slightly quicker in that sense. But the problem is the letters are going to cause a lot of issues, I can imagine. So we do that. We draw the line. We change all the signs, right? You have to do it for this one, and this one now. The first bit cancels. We're left with px squared, because anything added to 0 is nothing. That is minus 3x. I don't know if you heard my stomach there, but oh well. Yep, you notice what I did there is fine. And then you do same thing again. By x squared. That would just be p. We put the plus p on the top. Anything we put on the top, we multiply down on the left-hand side. So p by x squared is px squared. P by minus px is minus p squared x. Keep that in mind. P by p is p squared. The minus and the x still wrap around it. And then p by 1 is just p. We would draw a line and change the signs. There's actually a bit missing from this that I was hoping would be in it. So I will maybe have a look for another one. I don't know how I'm going to fix that one. Here, though, we have minus 3. Tell you what, I'll fix it here, I suppose. Minus 3x plus p squared. X minus 3 or minus p. All I've done is kind of written this in that kind of order, if you get me. Just wrote it kind of sideways. It was still saying minus 3x plus p squared x. I just wrote that across. And it was still saying minus 3 or minus p. And I just wrote that across, right? Because it is all the same thing, effectively. But what it should do is the x's, normally we'd only have one x term and one number term here. So what we do is we kind of bracket them off. We take out what's common if necessary. So for the first two, I'm going to take out an x. Now you guys all prefer to have the x at the front. I prefer it at the end. Whatever. Yeah, and then we'd have plus minus 3 or minus... Ooh, p. So all I've done is just turn that line into here. It's kind of cleaned up a bit. You might think it's messier, but you'll notice that it's an x and it's a number. So it's actually cleaner, I promise. Now the thing is though, it's a factor. So that means there should have been no remainder. We should have had a fat 0 at the bottom, but we didn't. So all of that stuff should have given us 0x plus 0. It should have. All of those things should have zeroed out, right? But they didn't. So what we can say now is the minus 3 plus p squared should have given us this 0. And the minus 3 or minus p should have given us this 0. So what I can say is, oh, minus 3 plus p squared is equal to 0. Then I'd say p squared is equal to the square root of 3. No, I lied. I skipped ahead. Sorry. P squared is equal to 3. And then p is equal to the square root of 3. Just using algebra. And then we can say, oh, the only way this bracket would have given us 0 would have been if the p had had a root 3 in its place. In a similar fashion, we're going to do the green one, and we're going to know minus 3 or minus p should have also given us a fat 0. Oh, there's a problem. There's 2 letters. How do we solve for or? Well, we already know that p is root 3. So we can just sub that in. Then it's going to be minus 3 or is equal to the square root of 3. And then we know it's going to be or is equal to root 3 over minus 3. Which you can write in a multitude of different ways. You can write it like this. You can write it like this. Whatever floats your boat. They're all correct. Good job. You did it, bud. Proud of you. But that's how you do it. I'm going to try to look for another question and see how it goes. Or I'm going to see the one where it goes as... I'll tell you in a second. Okay, I think I found it. Hang on. I don't think you can see it, but I was in the wrong tab. So I had to whip out my maths book from school. So you've asked for it now, because now it's the real maths. And I'm not even going to actually, now that I think about it, I'm not actually telling you the proper question, because I'm afraid it's going to scare you. So I'm giving you the this version. I'm giving you the I've advanced it a bit. They gave you even more work to do, but I don't think it's really pertinent to what I wanted to show you. So I'm going to just do this real quick. And this will probably be the last one that I do here. That should have been a squared. That's a kx, and that's a 6. So it gave us this, and that's a k. Before you all start bitching and moaning, it's a kx. But in the question it asked for what the k is as a value. So we're going to just do the same long division we've always been doing. 2x cubed divided by 2x is x squared. You put that on the top. X squared. Anything you put on the top, you multiply down by the 2 lads on the left. You get 2x cubed plus 2, I wrote that weird, plus x squared, draw a line, change the sign, minus, get rid of, cancel. That's going to be minus 10x squared. You bring this guy down to plus kx. Then what you do is you do the thing at the end. You'd say minus 10x squared. Divided by 2x is minus 5x. Throw that on the top. Anything you put on the top, you multiply down by the 2 guys on the left, you get minus 10x squared, minus 5x. No line, change the signs. Now, here's the bit I wanted to talk about. Here we have kx plus 5x. You cannot do that because we do not have like terms. Some people will try to write it as kx plus 5x. Please do not do that, or else it will hurt me spiritually. Instead, what you want to kind of do is, sometimes some people would take it as an aside. If it's very complicated, I would take it as an aside. Write out how you want to write it, right? Write it out like that. See it horizontally, which is what you're used to seeing it as, instead of like a vertical stacked kind of thing. You can't add these together, so you take out what's common. Now again, I would have it at the x at the end of the brackets. You guys would have it at the start. It does not matter. The important thing is, both of these are correct. This one is not, because these two have a single x term. The other one has 2. Oh, yeah, I prefer it when it's 2. I don't care. It gets messy later on, and you guys don't know how it's going to get messy later on. So please, for the love of God, do not do the first one. It screws everybody up. Oh, I'm better than everyone. I'm going to do it my own way. Okay, good luck to you, that one kid that I know is going to do it. I know there's going to be one nerd who's like, well, I thought better than Graham, so I'm just going to do it. Plus 6, you bring down the plus 6. You'll notice now it's a single x term and a single number term. That is the gold that we're looking for. None of this nonsense. Good Lord, none of that nonsense. I swear to God. I've seen some people, I've gotten fairly riled up about that fairly quickly. I'm surprised myself, but you don't understand the trauma I've been through over the past few years, how many leaving certs I've sat through, how many kids I've been doing maths with that thought they were. No, Graham, I have my own method of doing it. Oh, do you? Okay. Again, I do apologize. Now, this is going to disgust the hell out of you guys. The x's cancel. You get left with k plus 5 over 2. That is what we put up here. Oh, ew, it was harder back in my day. Wow, who would have guessed? But anything you put in the top, you multiply down over here. If you're multiplying this fraction by 2x, I don't know if you guys can see this, but the 2's will cancel, right? If you wrote it out on the side as rough work, this 2 would cancel with this 2. And you're just left with k plus 5 in a bracket being multiplied by x. Again, it's in front of the bracket here. You can put it at the end. They're both the same thing. Now this guy multiplied by 1 is just itself, because anything multiplied by 1 is just itself. You do that. You draw a line, change the sign. Oh, look how easy it is when there's a single term. Sorry, some kid did it recently, and I'm not over it apparently. I need to talk to someone about it. But because it said, now I didn't show you this, in the question it does say that it is in fact a factor. So we should have gotten a fat 0 down here. So we know that plus 6 minus k plus 5 over 2 should have given us equals to 0. So we can set up that equation in that sense. And now what we can do is just do algebra to solve for it. Going to move the fraction across the equals, make it a positive fraction. You get this guy, multiply both sides by 2. You get this guy. And then bring the 5 over, make it a minus, and you get this guy. And there's your answer. That's what k must have been. Okay. There you go. Hopefully that's enough. Hopefully that's plenty of long division that you guys can have practice with. There is another method called the box method. I just didn't feel like it was necessary to talk about it here, partially because I'm afraid this video is going to be well too long as well. But I think this one is different because it is going to give you a chance to do the maths yourself. It is just repeating the stuff again and again and again. So I think weirdly this one is better in that sense when it's longer. The other ones are long, but like you have to be, look, I don't care, to be totally honest with you. Do it anyway. It's your leaving cert. Not mine. Okay, again, any other questions, just let me know in person. If you do still have questions about this, let me know. If there's a part that I missed, let me know. If you come up with a question that I haven't covered, let me know. But I think I've covered everything. Good luck and God bless, lads.